drier the other side. You can see. Yeah, you can see here. This tree would have been dead when it was felled. You can see here the sap is quite soft and punky and rotten. So that there is the edge of that's the sapwood there, which this is obviously the bark. When it was, that's the growing part of the tree. When it's standing and alive, that's the growing part of the tree. This is all what was the growing part of the tree, and these are, you can see the growth rings. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 10 years worth of growth there. 10 years to the inch on this one, pretty much, which is fairly standard on a Cornish oak. Maybe it's a bit slower grown than average. And on this side, you can see the edge of the sap there. But it's always perfectly clear on oak. You know where the sap is, and you know you shouldn't have any of it. Whereas with larch, the planking's stock. I don't think larch sap is particularly more prone to rot than the heartwood. In fact, if it's nice and dry, if it's been seasoned properly. If it's wet, it seems to, if it's kept wet. If it's never been seasoned, it seems to go a little bit. But yeah, you can see the nice sweep in that one. Nice bit of oak there. Bit of heart shape. That's the middle of the tree there. You can see that's the heart. Yeah, that's it. So that's what we call heart shake. And this is where there's a branch been cut off or died years ago. Oak's always got problems in it, but that is quite a nice piece. Yeah, buying wood it's always a problem, isn't it? Where do you go to buy your wood? Well, for the hardwood, the big stuff, the hardwoods, there aren't many options. If you're looking at long lengths, sort of 30-foot plus lengths of thick stock. There are a couple of specialist importers both of them in the north of England, and you go to them really. Barchards, I can't remember the other chap's name. Otherwise, for the larch and oak, and obviously all the other things like, if you want teak or mahogany, or you go to a specialist marine timber supplier. But for the larch and oak, it's always a good idea to look round and ask around the boat yards and so on, and see if there's any, a local sawmill, because there are quite a few, very small scale mills around. I mean, I only know in Cornwall, but there are, there's probably a dozen mills in Cornwall who, if you went along and said, "Oh, this is what I'm looking for," they'd saw it for you if you've got a reasonable amount that you want, or even if you haven't, just the odd bit. And oak, there's oak trees all over the place, so you might find one in your garden, and you can, or fall in one somewhere and then take it and get it sawn. There are mobile mills. You can buy trees standing if you want to go to that extent, and then get somebody with a mobile sawmill to come and saw them up for you, or take them to a mill and get them sawn. Gives you the control on, as they're opened up, you can look at it and say, "Oh, that looks a good bit, let's have that one." If you've got different thicknesses you wanted for different parts of your boat. But it's not something you can get tomorrow, a bit of boat building timber. You need to be thinking months in advance, really, or years for some jobs. A year in advance, I suppose. I'd start, ideally it'd be, if you're starting building a 40, a lugger or something, I'd like to be sawing the larch a year before starting. Though it's, if you've got 6 months, but if that 6 months is the summer, that would be all right. But 6 months of winter isn't going to get it dry enough, and a year is nice. And fell it winter time. Not that I think it makes that much difference on softwoods. We've felled spar timber, which is usually Douglas fir and spruce, and I've never noticed the difference in moisture content, whether it's middle of summer or middle of winter. It always seems to be saturated. Larch, because it's deciduous, I think it is a bit drier in winter, so it's worth felling. And oak certainly you should fell when the leaves are gone after the fall. Only November through to February, March time, and fell it then, and you saw it whenever you get the chance. I suppose spar timber, you can think about that. You know, more or less, it's any nice straight tree you can lay your hands on that's big enough. We tend to be Douglas fir for big spars, you know, sort of more than 6 inches thick and 30 feet long, and spruce for small spars. But it's quite difficult. I mean, spruce is lovely timber, but it's quite difficult getting hold of nice, clear, not too knotty, straight trees. I mean, they must be there somewhere, but you can't. Whereas Douglas fir is available in, you know, it's a plantation timber which grows into decent quality spar timber without too much attention. So there are millions of trees out there suitable for making masts out of. But if you want Douglas fir, the spruce, you have to be a lot fussier. Reject one in, you know, you can walk through a spruce wood and only, you know, an average one around here, and not 1 in 100 is good enough to make a mast out of. Whereas Douglas fir, you know, probably 1 in 5 is. So that's what we use.
Nice. Thank you.